Alla seconda giornata di BTO, comincia adesso il programma di Main Hall. Ricordiamo innanzitutto come fare a scaricare la nostra app, da dove potete vedere tutti gli appuntamenti che ci sono oggi. Grazie per la slide dell'app, se è pronta. Ecco, insomma, chi ancora non l'avesse scaricata per Android e iPhone, fatelo adesso. E anche tutti i nostri hashtag per commentare, scrivere, twittare, eccetera, eccetera, da qua. Allora, io vorrei, prima di cominciare il programma, fare una breve overview su quello che succederà oggi sul palco della Main Hall, soltanto. Gli altri palchi, appunto, vedetevi attraverso la app, ma al solito ci sono tantissime cose da fare e da vedere. Partiamo con un bellissimo panel per quanto riguarda i big data, che sono uno degli argomenti importanti e su cui dobbiamo riflettere nel turismo online. Tra l'altro il panel dei big data che c'è qui in Main Hall ne anticipa un altro che ci sarà in una delle focus hall subito consecutive, quindi chi fosse interessato a big data può vederli qui e può vederli fra poco su un altro palco. Seguiranno, avremo poi Jean-Luc Catherine del gruppo Accor. Come sapete, su questo palco ospitiamo tutte le grandi OTAs. Ieri c'è stato Expedia e TripAdvisor, oggi in finale di giornata ci sarà per la prima volta in BTO Booking.com. E quindi abbiamo anche due panel che in realtà spiegano che cosa fanno le grandi compagnie alberghiere per contrastare le OTA. Questo sarà Accor, secondo panel di questa mattina, e poi ce ne sarà uno nel pomeriggio con Des O'Mahony, che ha sempre un modo veramente molto molto bello di spiegare che cosa possono fare invece gli alberghi privati, sempre per contrastare lo strapotere delle OTAs. Alle 11 arriverà su questo palco invece il ministro Franceschini, insieme all'assessore al turismo della regione toscana Sara Nocentini. Faremo una chiacchierata su un sacco di temi con colui che Obama ha definito l'uomo che fa il più bel lavoro del mondo. Per noi lo fa, perché siamo tutti qui a parlare di turismo, e quindi vedremo le sue visioni nella nostra Main Hall. Altri appuntamenti per oggi: immediatamente dopo il ministro commenteremo i dati già usciti del Country Brand Index. È un appuntamento che ormai in BTO abbiamo tutti gli anni. Ci piace commentarli perché, come al solito, li avete già visti, siamo al comando per quanto riguarda turismo e cultura, però siamo precipitati di altre 3 posizioni in classifica per tutto il resto. Capiremo attraverso di loro com'è la metodologia di studio e perché siamo ancora così ben posizionati nella posizione che più ci interessa. Altri 2 appuntamenti importanti che ci saranno nel pomeriggio. Avremo Fabio Lazzarini, anche lui ormai un amico di BTO che tutti gli anni ci sorprende con i suoi interventi, che parlerà di mobile e mobilità, quindi è un argomento molto, molto particolare. E inoltre, altro appuntamento motivazionale molto forte, avremo sul palco Alex Bellini e Massimiliano Ventimiglia, e capirete perché quest'anno in BTO abbiamo portato quella barca che potrete vedere poco dietro la Main Hall, che è una barca che è stata condotta da Alex Bellini a remi dall'Italia alle Americhe, quindi da solo lui ha affrontato questo percorso e ci spiegherà l'avventura e che cosa significa l'avventura. Grazie a tutti per essere intervenuti. Io passo la parola al conduttore del primo panel di questa mattina sui big data, e quindi il palco è tutto di Mirko Lalli.
Did you use a computer to make that reservation, or a smartphone, or a tablet?
I use my smartphone.
And did you bring any devices with you on holiday?
An iPad and a smartphone, yeah.
Buongiorno, sono davvero felice di aprire io questo panel. Abbiamo due ospiti eccezionali e cercherò di ridurre la parte iniziale davvero a una brevissima introduzione, perché sono molto interessato anch'io a quello che hanno da raccontarci oggi. Mettete la mia presentazione. Allora, non perdo tempo a presentarmi, tanto cercate su Google e trovate tutto su quello che ho fatto e su quello che sto facendo adesso. Dite la verità, quando Giancarlo vi ha parlato di Big Data, più o meno avete avuto una reazione simile a questa. Ormai Big Data è uno di quei termini un po' abusati che quando li sentite, soprattutto chi fa un altro mestiere, non si occupa di tecnologia per mestiere, non si sente molto rassicurato parlando di Big Data. Ho provato stanotte a cercare su Google la parola Big Data. La prima immagine che viene fuori è qualcosa del genere, cioè è una cosa con server, bit, computer, molto spersonalizzante. Ecco, probabilmente se la mettiamo da questo punto di vista, parlare di Big Data non è una cosa per noi, è più una cosa per nerd, sviluppatori, ed è sbagliatissimo pensarla così. L'uso dei Big Data è una delle grandissime opportunità che la tecnologia ci mette a disposizione per semplificare tutto quello che noi facciamo in tutti i nostri processi, e cercheremo di capirlo attraverso la loro testimonianza. Ieri su questo palco avete affrontato il concetto di human to human. Ecco, parlare di Big Data è probabilmente la cosa più vicina al concetto di human to human che possiamo fare oggi. Big Data sono assolutamente legati alle persone, sono le persone che producono dati che attraverso i loro comportamenti e attraverso lo studio dei comportamenti delle persone, attraverso le tracce che le persone hanno lasciato sui media digitali, che è quello che noi chiamiamo Big Data. Sono le persone che, connesse 24 ore su 24 in rete, usano in tutte le fasi del viaggio i dispositivi digitali e attraverso i dispositivi digitali semplicemente raccontano le loro vite, semplicemente vogliono avere un'esperienza di viaggio più piena. Perché lì va avanti.
No, qui siamo fermi, quindi non ti stanno seguendo. Se ci date un secondo, scusate, riavviamo. Probabilmente è fatto con Windows, non lo so. Se è inchiodato, lo riavviamo e arriviamo.
Io qualche dubbio su PowerPoint ce l'avevo, Qualche dubbio su PowerPoint mi era venuto. No, anche perché vi era rimasta la slide più brutta, in assoluto. Vabbè. Allora, intanto potremmo far salire loro, che invece di stare lì in un angolo, venite sul palco, vi mettete qua, così vi presentiamo. Cioè, fammi capire, Giancarlo, quella è la mia?
Sì.
Non mi sento a mio agio. Allora, Ulton O'Brien, Boxiver, José Cordoba, che è Andalucia Lab.
Andalucia Lab.
Boxiver è una società veramente straordinaria, poi ci racconterà che cosa stanno facendo. Hanno appena chiuso un round importante e si stanno muovendo ad una velocità incredibile nell'universo della tecnologia e dei big data per il travel. Andalucia Lab è il primo caso che abbiamo incontrato, l'abbiamo visto su un articolo su TNUZ un paio di mesi fa, non moltissimo, dove un'intervista a José diceva che lui stava usando i big data per fare per prendere delle decisioni migliori, soprattutto nella dimensione del marketing. Poi ci spiegherete quali sono queste decisioni e quali sono stati i benefici di queste decisioni. Sono due casi molto differenti, perché Boxiver si rivolge in questo momento soprattutto al mercato enterprise, quindi delle grandi aziende, mentre Andalucia Lab è un progetto di un territorio. DMO. E quindi è interessante vedere anche dove si possono incontrare queste due realtà. Ok, siamo partiti. Dicevo, ce l'abbiamo fatta. Windows non ci ha abbandonato. Anche perché si è bloccato quando io vi facevo vedere Sheldon Cooper, che ci tenevo parecchio a farvelo vedere, che è uno dei miei miti quando penso ai big data. E quindi il concetto è, i big data non sono questa cosa qua, il concetto più simile a human to human che avete visto ieri, legato ai big data, è quello di cui vi stiamo parlando adesso, perché i dati, tutto quello che chiamiamo big data, sono fatti dalle persone che durante i loro comportamenti quotidiani scelgono, si muovono sui media digitali sempre di più. Abbiamo visto nella slide di Giancarlo che il 60% di tutti i dispositivi connessi ad internet sono ormai dispositivi mobile, che sono dei produttori naturali di big data. Le persone sono collegate, sempre, lo sapete. Qual è la prima domanda che vi fa? Quanti albergatori ci sono in sala? Qual è la prima domanda che vi fanno dopo il check-in? La password del wifi, bravi, risposta esatta. Ed è sempre così, ovunque andiate, la prima necessità ormai è diventata una commodities, è trovare una connessione. Per fare cosa? Per semplicemente semplificare tutta una serie di azioni che si compiono naturalmente durante tutte le fasi del viaggio, per raccontare quello che si sta vivendo durante il viaggio. E raccontare non vuol dire soltanto farsi una selfie, magari anche nei momenti meno appropriati. Raccontare vuol dire anche lasciare delle tracce involontariamente o volontariamente sui media digitali, quando si fa un check-in in un hotel, quando si compiono dei pagamenti, quando si fa check-in in un volo. Sono tutte tracce che contribuiscono ad alimentare il nostro grande serbatoio di dati che possiamo analizzare. Sui pagamenti, ad esempio, Sui pagamenti, ad esempio, è interessante, so che ci sono dei focus anche su questa cosa, perché è un'altra delle tecnologie che cambierà radicalmente il modo con cui viviamo alcune esperienze quotidiane. E c'è un'ultima cosa che vi voglio dire prima di lasciare la parola a loro. Mi ha colpito un articolo che faceva riferimento ad uno studio di un ente americano che si intitolava The Rise of the Silent People, cioè esistono una categoria di persone, non necessariamente giovani, che ha una maggiore propensione alla spesa e dichiara di essere più soddisfatto quando conclude in maniera semplice, semplificata, un'esperienza attraverso i media digitali. Ecco, queste persone sono non solo produttori di big data, ma sono i primi che attraverso gli strumenti, ad esempio, che Boxiver mette a disposizione, possono beneficiare di un'esperienza semplificata. Non solo semplificata, ma gli operatori, voi potrete sapere più su di loro. I big data sono lo strumento migliore per conoscere chi sono i vostri ospiti, anche prima che arrivino da voi. Ci avete pensato che cosa potreste fare se voi sapeste esattamente chi sono le persone che vengono da voi un attimo prima che arrivino, o meglio ancora, un attimo prima che vengano a visitare il vostro sito, ad esempio, in modo che voi possiate personalizzare la vostra offerta su quelli che sono le vere persone, non così una figura presunta e immaginata. La grande scoglio, il grande obiettivo dell'uso dei big data è ovviamente la personalizzazione dell'esperienza. La personalizzazione dell'esperienza, che è il sacro graal del marketing contemporaneo e della costruzione del prodotto, ecco, è diventata semplicissima. Credo che Boxiver su questo ci possa assolutamente aiutare. Ci sono tanti altri benefici correlati, ai big data. Ovviamente vediamo, anzi mi fa piacere sapere che cosa ne pensate sui benefici che io ho ipotizzato, e ci sono anche delle questioni aperte, ovviamente. La privacy, i costi di implementazione, anche se, ad esempio, in mia personalissima opinione, la privacy non è un problema, ed è sempre meno un problema per chiunque. È solo una cosa per grandi aziende, solo enterprise o anche le piccole e medie imprese possono beneficiarne? E quali sono appunto i benefici nell'uso quotidiano di queste tecnologie? E soprattutto, se queste tecnologie non sono semplici, tanto voi non le userete. Quindi il primo beneficio deve essere assolutamente la semplicità d'uso. Parleremo di travel big data e lascerei subito la parola. Io andrei in quest'ordine, partirei dalla grande impresa per arrivare all'esperienza territoriale, quindi lascerei subito la parola a Ultan, che si presenta e ci racconta Boxiver. A te la parola. No, stai qui, stai qui.
Thank you, Mirko. Good morning. As I was introduced, Ultan O'Brien is my name. So I'm the VP of Sales of a company called Boxever. We're based in Dublin. And thank you again for inviting me and asking me to talk today about what we're doing in this particular space. I'm going to start my presentation with a little detail on who Boxever are. I mean, Boxever are a predictive marketing platform provider, specifically designed for the travel business. So we work with a range of travel providers, generally airlines and large online travel agencies, but we've started to work with other travel management companies and travel providers in really taking customer intelligence and big data analytics and activating the data. So really enabling that airline or that large OTA to use the data really more effectively. All of the data that's in their environment, so online and offline, within the contact center, across their organization, where that data has been residing in what I've called dark data. It hasn't been enlightened. And I think, you know, that's generally our proposition. And really the result of that is that we deliver, you know, for our customers, to their customers, we deliver a very personalized experience, a one-to-one, you know, communication, merchandising, marketing, and we enable that through the platform. So I'm going to start my presentation with, again, a question. What does baseball and travel have in common? So the question is, the answer is, you know, is around data science. So if you think about baseball a few years ago, I don't know if anybody's seen this movie. Brad Pitt was in it. It was called Moneyball. And really, the nerds, as you call them, but really what we call them is the rock stars of the nerds. The data scientists came into this industry, and you know what they identified was that there was loads of data. There was no shortage of data. It was the way that you approached looking at that data and how you activated that data. That was the most important thing. You know, for all the hoteliers that put your hands up, you know, this team, the Oakland A's, were the underdog, you know, so the data was enabling the underdog to use their data more effectively and really, you know, they identified that they were measuring the wrong thing. And I think this is the case in travel and has been the case in travel for a number of years. So there's a revolution going on within travel. Of course, I'm here in Florence, so I thought, how am I going to structure my presentation? So, of course, your most famous person here is Dante Alighieri. So I thought, hey, let's talk about big data, yes, but maybe if you'll join me on a journey, almost like Dante, where we're going to walk through, you know, how do we get to a place where we're using big data more effectively. And I'm going to talk about the 7 deadly sins of big data, particularly in travel. So sin number 1 is forget small data. And what I'm really talking about here is, if we want to talk about big data, what does it look like? For me, again, I've tried to take an image, an Italian image. This is a picture of the Vatican in 2005 and the Vatican in 2013. Obviously, the unveiling of the Pope, Benedict, and then Francis. So for me, this is an image of how the world has changed and how it's impacted the behavior even within an institution like the Vatican, and how people experience something, how they capture that experience and how they share it with other people is really significant. So I think, you know, when we talk about big data, sure, it's about multi-channel, multi-device, it's about informed, connected, mobile, passengers and travelers, and the expectation, the McDonald's generation, which is instant gratification. I expect that if I engage with your brand, that you're going to recognize me, that you're going to know what I've booked with you, and that you're going to understand my problems when I do lean forward. Small data is really about what we already have, which was prior to that. And I think that's about connecting the online world and the offline world, connecting the web to email. I mean, to be honest with you, the majority of our customers, and we work with some of the biggest airlines in the world, so we work with the likes of Tiger, Air New Zealand, VTO, we work with OTAs like Odisha eDreams, we work with Ryanair, and really, you know, they start with a point which is, how do I send less email that's more effective in its delivery, okay? Because I want to stop sending more email. I want to send it more targeted so that so it resonates with people. So people say, hey, you understand me better, and you're offering me products and services that are more relevant. So I think the first thing is let's not throw out small data. And I think that's the most important thing that we need to focus on is, you know, as a hotelier, has somebody visited you before? Did they have breakfast? Did they eat in the hotel? Did they drink in the bar? What did they drink? I mean, these are all pieces of information that can really be helpful for the next time that person visits. And capturing that data and presenting it in the right way can revolutionize your business, can revolutionize the experience that you have and your customer has, and can revolutionize the bottom line and the top line impact of that experience. So upselling and cross-selling becomes much more relevant. So the second thing is view customers across a single channel in real time. And again, this is the sin. So let me say this is the negative. So we need to counter that. And I think the counter of that is really, let's not focus on solutions which look at just online or just mobile or just email or just loyalty. I think that's a mistake that people tend to do. And then you end up with loads of different silos that just deliver personalized services to those particular channels. The new world is about blending that information together so you get a really high definition view of that customer. And that high definition view gives you an insight into what to offer, when to offer, how to offer, what device that person might use, and what message you need to present to them at that right time. So I think that's really important. That's the second sin. The third sin is, is to focus on insights rather than actions. And I think I guess that's where data has been for the last 20 years. If you think about customer relationship management tools, it's always been a lean back view. So it's always been kind of like, let's do reports, let's visualize what's happening with our customers, and then let's think about it. And let's maybe do a campaign next month. So I think the world has changed in relation to that. And by activating your data, I mean in real time, changing the look and feel of your website, you know, changing the products that are presented in real time, so dynamically packaging products that are extremely relevant to that individual's behavioral requirements, what they've searched for before, what they've purchased before, and it's serving that back up to them real time. That has to happen. So that's essentially the third one. So I'll run through some of them, and I think that's it. We've got to capture, we've got to gain insight, so analyze that customer, and score that customer in a number of ways, and then serve back up that content or product recommendation. And product recommendation is really difficult in travel. I think Amazon has had it very easy, you know, in terms of price variability, in terms of availability. There are real challenges about building algorithms that fit to our market. So the fourth sin is segmentation isn't important to personalization, right? So what we do in BoxEver is really about hyper-segmentation. And what I mean by hyper-segmentation is that we score customers not just on lifetime value, not just on recency or frequency, but really, getting to a point where you can score the customer on every product or service and their propensity towards that product or service. So from a hotelier is how likely are you to eat in the restaurant? How likely are you to eat breakfast? How likely are you to look for room service or have a movie? Those really are segmentations that you can score a customer on, and as a result, when that customer returns, if they return, you can offer them the most relevant services to them that are most likely to be relevant to them. I think within airlines, certainly for the last 10 years, they've focused on merchandising. The ability to sell a seat, a hotel room, a car rental, and so on, and so on, and get paid for it, and then deliver that product. I think the level of sophistication is going up rapidly on identifying what product to sell, what's most relevant to an individual, and so on. Particularly in Ryanair didn't really care. They had one product, they had one market. They didn't focus on segmentation because they didn't see it was relevant. They just thought, if we're the lowest cost, then we're the lowest price, then if you want to travel with us, you'll travel with us. And I think you've seen over the advent of the last 6 months, particularly in Ryanair, that they've really segmented the market, their product offering, and it may be that it's the same product, but they've merchandised it differently, and they've marketed it differently. And I think that's it, the bundling components of it. So even Ryanair has moved towards this hyper-segmentation. Okay, we're nearly there. Number 5, Mirko. I know you're probably conscious of time, but context. So in travel, for me, context is the most important thing. We can track all the data that we want around behavior, around transactions, around what you've ordered before, what products and services are relevant to you. But the context of your travel is the most important thing. It's the key indicator for you. When am I a business traveler? When am I a family traveler? When am I a leisure traveler? When am I a lifestyle traveler? Those things really need to be built into this pot that derives that recommendation. So making a product recommendation, sure, it's based on the customer's previous behavior, but it's also based on the context of that travel event. And I think that's really a challenging thing to do in relation to product recommendation. Okay, think that personalization doesn't work. So just ask Jeff Bezos, right? Back in 1999, he only had 6.2 million customers at the time. But he was saying, I need to personalize every event on that. So what we do with the customers that we have in the airline and the online spaces, that every single visitor that arrives on the site gets a unique experience from that site. Is served up a unique piece of content. And as we gain more knowledge about that individual and as they book more, we tend to deliver that personalized service online. The market is telling us that that's the case, both from a consumer perspective and both from a business perspective. So when we talk about what's personalization, hey, in travel, it's nothing new. I mean, it's been a human connection for the last 30 years. It's the same thing. The fundamentals are the same. Do you know me? There's the old joke about the celebrity who went up to the ticket office in the airport and demanded he get on a flight that was full. And he said, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And of course, the ticket desk clerk got on the mic and on the PA across the airport and said, there's a man here in desk number 10 and he doesn't know who he is. So if you recognize him, please collect him. What I'm saying is personalizing is significant. The last sin is to really focus on Are consumers rational? And is it predictive? We think they're rational, and we think it's unpredictable. The reality is that there's a whole behavioral economics piece going on at the moment. If you look at Dan Earley, if you look at David Kaufman, if you look at Malcolm Gladwell, there's a whole area that's looking at how do we personalize, the experience online that drives social proofing. If other people are booking this right now, you've seen it in booking.com for the last 5 or 6 years, where if other people are booking, then we need to book. There's a social proofing component to it. If I show you in an aircraft, when you track the same thing, you can see the behavior pattern through it. So I think that's my last point. Don't ignore behavioral economics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In the end, we ask you about your works with some headlines.
Yeah.
Because it is very surprising that you wrote on the slide that most airlines don't have a CRM.
Most of them don't.
They don't know you because they don't say nothing about you.
So if you sign up to a loyalty program,
yeah.
Okay, and if you're actively involved in the loyalty program every time you fly, which is, I think in the case of most people, particularly in Europe and Asia, loyalty programs are hit and miss, and loyalty programs are not always used. And so they only capture 10% of the customer base. So I think the US is slightly different in terms there's a much more caste system around loyalty, but even still, you're still talking about only a small percentage of customers.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We're talking again in the hand.
Okay.
So, se avete domande twittatele, così le riportiamo ai nostri relatori. Le twittate con l'hashtag, io le vedo e gliele facciamo. Senza perdere tempo. José, introduce yourself.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Mirko, to invite me to this event. My name is José Luis Córdoba. I am Managing Director of Andalucia Lab. We try to help small companies in the south of Spain to succeed to be successful in the digital economy. This is our goal. Let's focus on big data and let's focus on Florence. Can you imagine if we collect all the photos that are taken by tourists during a year, for example, starting in January until the end of November, we collect all these pictures and we plot them in a map. If we do that, we will be able to see a pattern of the behavior of the tourists. Please pause the video. We are going to look at it. This is the places where the photos were taken. Look at the date. This is a pattern of the behavior of our tourists in this city. Can you pause again, please, just to see it again? Okay. Look at the date and where and when the photos are taken. Okay, can you imagine what we can do with this information from the public or for the private industry? This is really big data. It's just to try to use this information, this data, to make better decisions. Big data really is data analysis taking into account 4 things. First, the amount, diversity, and speed of information have all increased incredibly because of the internet, the introduction of sensors, new databases, etc. Second, the second change is that the data storage and processing capacity has rapidly increased during this time. The third is that there are more powerful ways to visualize all this information, all this data. For example, with tools like GeoCommons, Many Eyes, or Car2DB, Spanish startups. And the availability of data in real time. That's really very important. So big data is really just data analysis with these changes. Really, how is the travel industry using this data? We can study some examples. For example, TripAdvisor. Really, travel industry is characterized because it's a very intensive information industry. So if we study, for example, TripAdvisor, more than 150 new contributions per minute, more than 70 million members worldwide. On average, almost 2,600 new subjects are posted every day in the forums. More than 85% of the questions are answered in less than 24 hours, and 70 million unique visitors per month. Imagine what we can do with all this data. Another example is Instagram. The social network Instagram is not a tourism platform, but if you write the hashtag Florence in Instagram, you will find out a lot of pictures taken by tourists. 60 million photos are uploaded per day, 200 million monthly active users, and 1.6 billion likes per day. We can continue with these examples. If we consider an average hotel in Andalusia, a hotel for about 60 rooms, we will find that they have 20 basis rates per room. If we multiply by the variations depending on demand of these prices, we will have 40 rates per a certain day. These are the possibilities of the prices for an average hotel in Andalusia. 400 rates multiplied by 365 days, we will find out 146,000 rates per year. And aggregating all these prices in Andalusia, we will find out 146 million rates just in Andalusia. Imagine if we aggregate the rest of Spain, Italy, and the whole of Europe. And the data is not only related to bookings and reviews, it's also related to information that is very useful for the tourists. For example, information about security, communication, transport, health, and so on. And we can use and aggregate all this information. Where are the main data sources in the travel industry? As he said before, booking channels, loyalty programs, web search, open sources that provide us reputation, prices, geotagged images, etc. Okay, some existing examples. I'm going to focus on the example in Andalusia, okay? The example of a destination. This is examples from hotels like intercontinental hotels, the resources, internal, external, which are the main targets. Okay, this is intercontinental. I don't have much time. Meta searchers, kayak. How do they use all these informations? Booking, of course. Okay, I'm going to in the B2B business. Adara is a great example. I'm going to focus on Andalusia. Okay. We did an experiment. We collected information from 800, almost 800 hotels from medium to high category. We collected the data in the 8 big cities and the main coast of Andalusia. This is the map of Andalusia. In the map are plotted all the hotels hotels from 3 to 5 stars. So we identify where the hotel supply were plotted. We collected information from 8 OTAs and information about 7 attributes. We collected information from TripAdvisor, Booking, Expedia, Holiday Check, Uber, Hotelopia, Venerian, and Hotel Room, and information about these attributes: food, room, location, service, facilities, quality and price, cleanliness, just to try to build an image, a radiography of the destination, of Andalusia destination. These are the comments where the comments are coming from. Most of them are coming from Booking, from the TripAdvisor. We analyzed more than 400,000 comments. And this is a map of a radiography of the Andalusia online reputation. For example, this is Córdoba. It's an important city where you can find the average score for room, cleanliness, facilities, price, service, location, food. And we did this with all the, as I mentioned before, with all the cities and main costs. So it's really an experiment because the data is only, are limited to 1 month, but it's an interesting image of the destination. We can have interesting conclusions. For example, in Andalusia, cleanliness is a very important attribute. The tourists really consider that we are very good in that. And we can study our relationships with other attributes like location, room, service, etc. Another conclusion is, there are different clusters of OTAs. For example, Uber and Hotelopia, they have low comments, they have low comments and allow just 1 minute. We have low comments and low score. TripAdvisor and Booking, we have a lot of comments and low score, and in the medium cluster, high score and medium number of comments. All this information is able to be downloaded. All the cities in Andalusia can download this information, so they can really see which is their position. All the information is here in this web, okay, bigdataandalab.org. And this is just an experiment about Florence. Here are the prices, the hotels located in Florence with a price distribution. It's just an experiment. We collected this information for 1 week, so it's not relevant. But it's just to show you what we can do with this information. Really, I think it's very interesting to manage a destination. So that's all I wanted to share. That's it. Thank you.
That's very interesting. Just a question before to discuss based on question coming by Twitter. Which decision it was most important, most critical based on the analysis of that data?
For destination?
For destination and for you. I read in your interview that you say that you decide what to allocate the marketing budget, for example. Can you explain?
For us, now the most important thing is just to understand better how the destination is behaving. For example, just to know where the supply is located is very important. Because for most of the destinations, the supply is located just by surveys. Through surveys, we know where the supply is, the offer is located. or just by administrative listings that really are not so real as this information. For just to know, to have a image, a real image of the destination is very important, just to start.
Yeah, do you have the proof that works?
Yes.
Yeah. And for the hotel owners, for the tourist operators, they can use data, they are aware about your work, and they have benefits.
Yes, now it's just an experiment. I mean, well, we just started the data, we collected just data during 1 month, but this is very useful for hotels. For example, they can see if well, they have similar prices in the same location, or there are some outliers.
The whole
between
tools
them.
are available on your websites also for operators.
Miko, I have a question, if I may. Can you gentlemen explain how you gather the data, especially when you say the Andalucia Lab gets from 8 OTAs? How do you collect the data?
Well, we just do it asking the web, you know?
So how do you get, so when you say you collect data from 8 OTAs, are you doing searches?
Yes, we search.
Search, and then you
We
evaluate?
collect the information, yes.
And do the OTAs try to block you when they see the repeated?
No, because it's a very limited sample. It's just an experiment. It's not really a definitive project.
Because I think if it became a big project,
Yes,
you would
we
need
have to-
their cooperation.
Yes.
And in travel, a lot of intermediaries feel that data that they collect and spend hundreds of millions of dollars
Yes,
in
sure.
marketing is their data, not someone else's data.
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
In the last few minutes, just a question to Hultan. I'm very curious about the benefits for, if you have an example about your an airlines or one of your clients or your customers, the key benefits, the most important benefits of using your technology on the sites, on the enterprise.
So it depends, you know. I mean, we deliver or enable two things. One is an enhanced customer experience, because at the end of the day, certainly me as a consumer, and I guess everybody else as a consumer, you know, we want less noise, less spam, less intrusion, and more relevant products and services being offered to us. And that drives, you know, within the airline business certainly, and the OTAs, it drives an element of customer experience. But, you know, ultimately what we tip our hat on is our ability for the airline to drive revenue by enabling a more personalized offering in order to deliver more products, more relevant cross-sells and upsells throughout the journey, and positioning those at the right time with that individual. So ultimately, for us, you know, for our customers, it's also about revenue generation, you know.
Is it difficult to implement, to try to deploy your technologies inside the company, or is almost simple to use?
Yeah, so I think what we do is we tag a site, we run a script within a traditional reservation system, and we pull that data, and what we've built is a technology that turns bookings into people.
Yeah, because
and essentially you get that individual, and then you can layer, you know, non-structured data like email, like chat, SMS, social hooks like Facebook, and that pulls in, and all it does is just gives you a better definition of that customer. I mean, that's in essence what we're providing.
Yeah,
you know?
that's killer. I think technology may be very useful when it became transparent, so totally useful and not immersed. Okay, something like that. Our time is ended. Grazie a tutti. Thank you, Hara.
Thank you very much. Un argomento complicato, big data, ma mi sembra...
La sala di big data continua? Sala?
La sala, non me lo ricordo, guardate sul programma.
Sala 1.
Sala 1, big data continua, non finisce, come X Factor. Big data continua.